Mortgage rates are up. Foreclosures are rising. Short sales are becoming more common. Is this the warning we've been told to fear? Or are these simply the signs of a housing market returning to normal? My name is Mark. Welcome to the Gentleman Broker Mortgage Brief. Every week it seems like there's another housing headline. Mortgage rates won't come down. Foreclosures are surging. Short sales are making a comeback. If you spend enough time scrolling social media or watching the news, it's easy to walk away thinking the housing market is on the verge of another collapse. When people hear the word foreclosure, many immediately think of 2008. Entire neighborhoods filled with vacant homes, families losing everything, banks failing, home values falling overnight. For a lot of Americans, that period changed how we think about real estate forever. So when foreclosure numbers start rising again, it's understandable why people become nervous. But are we afraid of those numbers, or are we afraid of what we think those numbers mean? Because when most people hear the word foreclosure, they don't think about legal notices or missed payments. They picture 2008. They picture the collapse of the housing market, and they assume history is about to repeat itself. But before we jump to that conclusion, I think it's important to understand what these numbers are actually telling us. Because a foreclosure statistic doesn't tell the whole story. It tells us one chapter. Let's start with the foreclosure numbers. Yes, foreclosure activity has increased compared to the last few years. That's true. But a foreclosure start simply means the legal foreclosure process has begun. It doesn't mean a family has already lost their home. It doesn't mean the bank owns their property yet. And it doesn't mean that that home is about to hit the market. Foreclosure is a process. Sometimes homeowners catch up on their payments. Sometimes they work out a repayment plan with their lender. Sometimes they refinance. Sometimes they sell the home before the foreclosure is completed. And yes, sometimes the property eventually becomes bank owned. Those are all very different outcomes. That's why I think it's important to not let one statistic tell the entire story. Another important difference between today and 2008 is equity. Back then, many homeowners owed more than their homes were worth. When they got into financial trouble, they often didn't have many options. Today, many homeowners still have substantial equity in their homes. Even if they fall behind on payments, they may be able to sell the home, pay off the mortgage, and walk away with money in their pocket. That doesn't make foreclosure a good thing, not even close, but it does make today's market fundamentally different than the one we experienced nearly 20 years ago. So, if this isn't simply another 2008, why are foreclosure numbers increasing? Why are homeowners falling behind? Is it because mortgages suddenly became unaffordable? Is something else putting pressure on homeowners? Because if someone bought their home 5 years ago, there's a good chance their principal and interest payment hasn't changed at all. In fact, millions of homeowners are sitting on mortgage rates under 4%. So if the mortgage payment didn't change, what did? What changed enough to push some families to the break point? I don't think we can answer that question by looking only at housing. We have to zoom out, because the housing market doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's connected to everything else happening in the economy. Hey friends, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. I'd really appreciate the support. And that's why I think we have to stop looking at housing as the cause and start looking at it as the reflection. When wages struggle to keep pace with inflation, when the cost of everyday life keeps climbing, when families are spending more on groceries, more on utilities, more at the gas pump, property taxes rise, homeowners insurance premiums increase, the cost of owning a home continues to climb. Housing reflects it, and if I had to point to the two expenses that I believe have quietly put a lot of pressure on homeowners over the last 5 years, it would be property taxes and homeowners insurance. Let's say you bought a home in Phoenix in 2020. You locked in a 30-year fixed mortgage at around 3%. Your principal and interest payment hasn't changed. 5 years later, you're still making that same mortgage payment, but your homeowner's insurance has certainly gone up. Your property taxes have gone up. On their own, those increases might not seem overwhelming, but together they change the affordability of owning the home. Now that mortgage payment you could comfortably afford in 2020 doesn't feel nearly as comfortable in 2026. Not because your mortgage became more expensive, because home ownership became more expensive. And I think that's an important distinction. This is why some homeowners are struggling. I don't start by looking at the mortgage. I start by looking at everything surrounding it. For many homeowners, it isn't the mortgage that has become unaffordable. It's the rising cost of owning the home. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, and all the other expenses that continue climbing around a payment that may have never changed. And if you'd like to read the detailed analysis, tomorrow I'll be releasing the Gentleman Broker Housing Pressure Index. It's a breakdown of how property taxes and homeowners insurance and other factors have changed across major metro areas since 2020. I'll be sending the complete report to everyone on my weekly email list. If you're not on it yet, you can reach out to me at thegentlemanbroker.com and I'll get you added so you can receive it. So, what does all this actually mean? If you're a buyer, it can mean more opportunities. We're already seeing more price reductions. We're seeing more seller credits. Negotiation is becoming important again. For years, buyers often had to waive contingencies, make offers above asking price, and compete against numerous offers. Today's market looks different. Not everywhere, not every home, but overall, buyers have a little more breathing room. That doesn't mean you should rush into buying a home. It simply means your options may be improving. Don't let headlines make your decisions for you. A rising foreclosure rate doesn't automatically mean home prices are about to collapse. In many markets, inventory is improving, and buyers have more negotiating power today than they did just a few years ago. If you're a homeowner, don't ignore the costs that surround your mortgage. Review your homeowner's insurance, understand your property taxes, budget for maintenance before it becomes an emergency, have room in your budget for increases in your property taxes and insurance. Sometimes protecting your financial future is about managing the expenses that come with owning the home. And for the real estate agents, today's market rewards knowledgeable realtors. Know when to ask for seller credits. Help clients compare a price reduction versus a rate buy down. Structure clean offers. Manage expectations. Those are the skills that separate great agents from the average ones. Markets change, and professionals have to change with them. So, are we headed toward another housing crash? Based on the information we have today, I don't believe that these headlines alone support that conclusion. What I do believe is this: the housing market is becoming more balanced. Buyers are gaining some negotiating power. Sellers are adjusting to a different environment, and professionals who understand what's changing will be in the best position to help their clients navigate it. The housing market will always have headlines, some encouraging, some concerning, but headlines don't tell the whole story. Every market creates opportunities. The trick is recognizing them. With that, I will leave you with this quote by Abraham Lincoln. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. This has been your mortgage brief for the week. For everyone watching, I hope today is the continuation of a productive week. I hope you are proud of the work you are doing. My name is Mark, and I am the Gentleman Broker.